International Airport in Beijing. Woosung buttoned up his coat as the cold wind blew harshly. As he got into the car, his secretary whispered, "The one's battery blew up. Then let's increase the marketing budget. This is the best time to promote our phone." Zhang Guangchul asked Woosung, "What happened?" "Apparently the one's battery exploded at the opening event." Everyone's eyes widened. "What?" "I guess their plan to create a longer-lasting battery backfired." Everyone took out their Blue S2 phones and searched for relevant news. The one's battery explosion, what happened? There weren't many news reports, but it was considered a breaking news. Zhang Guangchul exclaimed, "This is our chance. We need to milk it now." Woosung turned to Park Byung-ki and asked, "Other than increasing the marketing budget, what else should we do?" Park Byung-ki thought carefully. Unfortunately, there weren't many things competing companies could do in this kind of situation. Park Byung-ki gave a cautious reply, "Why don't we do another quality test of our own product and slowly increase its production? I can't think of anything else right now other than that." "All right. Let's do that." Zhang Guangchul suggested excitedly, "Shouldn't we do a huge TV commercial? This could be a chance to kill Daeyang. Daeyang still has many fans. If we go too big right now, we may look bad in this situation." Woosung turned to his secretary and asked, "What is our schedule for this trip?" "We need to visit the office first and have dinner with the Zhongguancun government official. Tomorrow, we will visit an investor company. The next day, we will attend the opening ceremony, and then there will be a dinner after." Tight schedule was planned for this 3-day trip. KND office in China. Woosung hired a Chinese businessman as the CEO for this branch. A new name was given to this company as well to blend in. The name they came up was LetChat. It was the same name as the chat program they were developing for the Chinese market. As you suggested, the data center has been built in China too. This is essentially a separate company from Korean KND. Woosung nodded as Hong Soo-bum continued, "And per your request, we are also developing an app store named Let Store. It will be included in the Chinese Blue S2, which will be launched next month." Woosung replied, "There is a rumor that Google will be booted out from China soon. That means the Chinese customers won't be able to access Google App Store. That could be our chance to replace it with our own app store." "Yes, sir." Hong Soo-bum nodded. Woosung turned to the Chinese CEO and asked in fluent Chinese, "Is there anything you need from me?" Everyone looked at Woosung in surprise. The CEO replied in fluent Korean, "So far, I am very happy with everything. Thank you." Woosung answered in Korean too, "We consider Chinese market to be one of our top priorities." "Good. I heard you are planning to have a dinner tonight with the Zhongguancun local authority." When Woosung nodded, the CEO added, "It obviously won't be a simple dinner. You better be ready for it. Chinese people consider saving face to be very important. You better have something big to offer. How much do you think I should gift?" "At least $100,000. If you are going to bribe, you better go big." It was a lot of money for such a lower-ranking government official. The CEO continued, "I realize it may seem unfair to you, but this is China and it is how it is. If you go smaller, they will be offended." "All right. I will prepare $200,000. Woosung decided to double it. He added, "Tell them that if they can connect me to Jiang Min, Hu Jintao's right hand, I will double it again. If they can introduce me to Xi Jinping or Liu He, I will quadruple the amount." After the meeting, everyone decided to have some free time on their own. Woosung visited the Beijing University Department of Economics. He was looking for Wu Jiren. In his previous life, Wu Jiren was the man who created the cryptocurrency called Bitcoin Terra and ASIC for mining. Woosung walked into Beijing University's economics department. "I would like to make a donation for scholarship." Pardon. I would like to make a donation to thank this university for educating such great students. The staff seemed confused and surprised. Woosung continued quickly, I would like to donate about $1.5 million. How can I do this? When the staff looked flabbergasted, Woosung asked, I would also like you to find a student for me. Beijing University. It was the best university in China. The head of economics department greeted Woosung with a smile. Ha ha ha, I have seen you on TV. It is such an honor to meet you. Huh, you too. Across from Woosung was Wu Jiren, who was in his 4th year. I heard you want to meet my student Wu Jiren here. Yes, I heard he is to graduate at the top of his class. If possible, I would love to scout him for my company. I will make a donation to the university as a thank you gesture. The head of the department smiled proudly while Wu Jiren looked pleasantly surprised. Woosung did a quick research on Wu Jiren before coming to the school. Wu Jiren had an excellent grade and was known to be very prideful. He had a sister and his father was a high-ranking government official. The head of the department said proudly, he is the best student we have in our school. Haha. He is intelligent, just like his father. Wu Jiren nodded with a smile. The department head asked him, what do you think? He came all the way here just to meet you. Wu Jiren adjusted his glasses and answered, thank you for coming here and making such a big donation. I am well aware of KND and its innovative ways. I do have a few concerns though. Can I ask you some questions? Woosung nodded. Wu Jiren continued, first of all, your company doesn't have a clear identity. You started out as a smartphone company, but suddenly, you are also doing an internet service business. You are not focused. Wu Jiren breathed and continued. You are now preparing to get into the mobile carrier business too. You also are known to have a few different personal businesses on the side. You may do well in all of them for now, but without a clear identity and focus, there is a very good chance your company will disappear soon. Wu Jiren was clearly a very intelligent and well-versed young man. Woosung listened calmly. In addition, I also researched you, President Kang, and I haven't found anything about you that was outstanding. The only conclusion I could come up with was that you just have been very lucky so far. The department head frowned disapprovingly. He was afraid Wu Jiren's criticism may cause Woosung to change his mind about the donation. Wu Jiren continued anyway, so based on these facts, I don't find KND to be an attractive company. What do you think, President? Woosung looked at Wu Jiren quietly. He was impressed. Woosung replied, do you know the main characteristics of Korean CEOs? When Wu Jiren nodded, Woosung continued, my plan is to grow my company in various different businesses. I am dreaming of making my company the best in the world. Wu Jiren didn't react. He just nodded and listened. Woosung continued, the reason I came to you isn't to get you involved in the existing KND businesses. Finally, Wu Jiren looked interested. Woosung said one word. Bitcoin. Wu Jiren's face became rigid. He knew what it was. Wu Jiren was actually the one who translated the original Bitcoin report into Chinese. Woosung explained, I want you to be the head of this business in my company. What do you mean exactly? Wu Jiren now looked curious. The department head looked confused. Mining, dealership, mining hardware and software, new blockchain technology development, and so on. The possibility is endless. China is very strict with foreign investment and technology. If you become part of my company, you can become the representative of cryptocurrency, which is the future of the financial world. Woosung added firmly. Your beginning yearly salary will be $1.5 million. It was 200 times the average salary in China. Shock. Surprise. Pleasure. Woosung could tell Wu Jiren's emotions clearly on his face. Then suddenly, Wu Jiren looked unconvinced. The offer seemed too good to be true. Woosung quickly took out the contract he prepared in advance. On the contract was the salary he promised. Woosung asked him, contracts are the foundation of any business relationship. Wu Jiren read through the contract carefully with trembling hands. He was still shocked at the number of $1.5 million, but he tried to look calm. Woosung tried hard not to grin. Wu Jiren said to him, "It's perfect. I had it proofread by a lawyer. It can't be any better." The head of the economics department looked at Wu Jiren. Woosung asked the department head, "Sir, there will be a big need for great people in the near future in IT and economics. I believe that this university is the best place in China to find such people." "Oh, of course. Wu Jiren here is now the representative of Bit China and he will be responsible for hiring employees for this company. Please take good care of him." Wu Jiren hasn't signed the contract yet, but Woosung shook his hand and said to him, "I'm happy to be working with you." Wu Jiren bowed respectfully. Wu Jiren followed Woosung when he left the room. "You are leaving after just giving me the contract. Your salary will be directly deposited starting next month. There is an office ready, so you just have to start showing up there." Woosung shrugged his shoulders and continued. "I am paying you $1.5 million, which means I shouldn't have to tell you how to do everything." "Then tell me one thing." Woosung nodded. Wu Jiren asked, "Do you really believe Bitcoin will work? Do you think it will replace our corrupted currency system completely?" Woosung laughed loudly. In his previous life, Wu Jiren was a cold businessman who caused so many people to lose their life savings, but even Wu Jiren was naive and pure-hearted as a young man. In 2017 in Woosung's past life, Wu Jiren encouraged many to invest in his cryptocurrency. At first, the value of it soared exponentially, but quickly, it plummeted to the bottom. Woosung remembered the event clearly. He was working at Bitmain at the time, and it was a shocking incident. Many believed this was Wu Jiren's plan all along. They believed he orchestrated the whole event for personal gain, but there was no proof. Wu Jiren looked confused. He asked, "Is my question that strange?" Woosung shook his head. "No. That wasn't why I laughed. I just thought, I felt like I was seeing myself in you when I was young and pure." Wu Jiren still looked confused. Woosung explained in a more refined tone. "I do believe it can replace the current system, and I think a lot of it will depend on you. You could be the one who decides how Bitcoin turns out." Woosung patted his shoulder and continued, "Work hard. Don't worry about money when you are hiring people. I suggest you start with Zhu Ketuan." Zhu Ketuan. He was the developer who actually created the mining system. Wu Jiren was studying economics, which means he didn't know much about programming. If he and Zhu Ketuan worked together, there was no stopping them. Usona's agency's CEO sat in a hotel room nervously. "Why? Why aren't they calling for you? I told them clearly that you are willing to do anything." Usona asked sharply, "Are you still wanting me to do that even in China?" They both knew what Usona was referring to. The CEO replied, "You can't relax just because you are popular. This is how you maintain your status. You know Kim Soo-min, right? Do you know what she is doing nowadays?" Usona remained silent. Kim Soo-min. She was one of the top actresses in Korea, but she wasn't seen nowadays. Usona understood what her boss was saying, but she still didn't want to do it. "We already made enough money. Do you hear what you're saying? Just because you made a little bit of money, you really think that's enough? It's not even going to cover your mother's hospital bill." Usona couldn't deny it, but she still said to him, "But I don't want to do it with a Chinese man. I won't even understand what he is saying. You do whatever you are asked to do. Just shut up. You think you're so big now." Usona remained silent. He continued callously, "Don't forget who made you what you are now. You have a long way to go till you pay back your debt." Usona tried hard not to frown. She looked at her phone. It was a promotional gift Blue S2 given to her for being a model for KND's TV commercial. I don't think he asked me to come for that. Her boss thought Woosung asked her to join him on this trip for an inappropriate reason, but Yusona thought differently. Woosung didn't seem like the type who would ask her to do things like that. On the way to his hotel, Woosung read the messages from Yusona's boss and frowned unpleasantly. She is ready whenever you want her. It doesn't matter who. Let me know. He remembered Yusona's story. He became angry. He hated seeing her being treated like an object. He remembered her tears that day. Maybe I should get into the entertainment business. Woosung knew the future. He knew which celebrities would be popular. He also knew which TV shows and reality shows will become successful. Woosung knew he could make a lot of money in this industry. Tencent headquarters. On top of the building was CEO Ma Huateng's office. He looked at the phone Blue S2 on his desk and asked. So Coconut Talk service will be pre-installed on this phone? Yes, and that is how the number of users will increase fast. And how is our project going? We got to the point where emoticons can be used. Ma Huateng asked seriously, should we give up on HH and start developing a brand new messenger? This is the era of smartphones, which means we need an appropriate messenger for it. Trying to fit HH to it may not work. Ma Huateng sighed. It seemed like giving up on HH was the only solution. His assistant continued, the problem is WeChat speed can't compete against Korea's Coconut. But that's because Korean internet service is faster. His assistant replied carefully, the thing is, Coconut Talk in Blue S2 is still faster than WeChat even in China. It is up to 10 times faster. How? Our development team needs to know KND's server configuration in order to figure it out. So far, what we did is we placed a spy in his Chinese company LetChat as a developer. We can't lose this. We can't lose Chinese customers. Don't forget that. His assistant nodded gravely. LetChat office in Zhongguancun. Li Dongjin, a server developer, went down the first floor for a smoke when the local developer, Zaijian, spoke to him in fluent Korean. You can smoke in the office. You don't have to keep going downstairs for it. Li Dongjin smiled awkwardly and replied, haha, it's a habit. Koreans have such good manners. I find Chinese people great too. Zaijian continued to ask Li Dongjin questions to keep the conversation. The server development is progressing quickly, it is hard to keep up on the client side. Well, it's because the server development is almost completed already. The only thing left is the infra to fit the local market. I guess Coconut Talk is already up and running, it's basically the same server. Pretty much. We basically are copying and pasting a lot of it, but I understand that the client side probably has much more work to do. Zaijian nodded at Li Dongjin's explanation. Li Dongjin asked curiously, by the way, your Korean is amazing. Thank you. I have always been interested in Korea, so I have been studying the language for a long time. Zaijian appeared to still have more questions he wanted to ask. Li Dongjin smiled and offered, if you have more questions, please feel free to ask me anything. Well, I am finding LetChat speed to be unusually fast. It is so much faster than the local messenger HH, and I don't understand why. It makes sense that you are curious as a developer. I heard KND's president Kang Woosung created it. Is that true? Li Dongjin nodded. That's right. He developed the server. He also delivered a presentation at the Microsoft MVP conference. He is famous. MQTT? Yes. He adjusted it slightly to fit the chat service, but of course, MQTT protocol doesn't make up the entire server. Zaijian continued to ask more detailed questions and Li Dongjin answered as best as he could. After a long conversation, the two returned to the office. Li Dongjin sat down in his chair and sent a text message using the company's cell phone. Let chat client part lobby developer Zaijian. Lee Dongjin was following the protocol taught to him before leaving Korea. Every Korean developer was asked to report to Hong Soo-bum if any local developers asked about Coconut Talk's core technology. Hong Soo-bum read the text. Zaijian 5 times. This was the 5th time Zaijian was mentioned by the Korean developers. He was suspicious. Sir, what should we do? Should we let him go? Woosung shook his head. Even if we get rid of him, they will just send another spy. It would be easier for us to keep him. That way, we know who to monitor. This is difficult. I can't believe we have to worry about things like this on top of everything else. I think we need to create a separate internal information team. I will think about it. Until then, please make sure to protect our technology as best as you can. Of course. The Zhongguancun government officials finally arrived. The highest-ranking representative's name was Mawasin, and he was responsible for controlling local businesses. His power was absolute in this area. Mawasin's face was round with a large forehead. He shook Woosung's hand and introduced himself. I'm Mawasin. My name is Kang Woosung. After a quick introduction, they started the meal. Mawasin said to Woosung, I heard about your donation to Beijing University. I was very happy to hear that, as were my superiors. It was a promising start of a conversation. Woosung's goal now was to earn Mawasin's trust. I am glad to hear it. I will try to do more in the future. Thank you so much. China is a very important market for KND. I am well aware of its growth potential. Mawasin gulped down his drink and replied, China will definitely grow and become the center of the world. Mawasin was clearly proud of his country. Woosung also took a sip of his drink and answered, and I hope you end up in the center of this country. Thank you. I think your gift will definitely help me to achieve that dream. Mawasin was referring to Woosung's bribe, which was given before the meal. Woosung stopped himself from sneering and replied, there are still so many more ways I can help you. I don't know if you have heard, but I use the big data analysis to decide major decisions for my company. No wonder your company is doing so well if you study such reliable data. Mawasin didn't seem convinced. Woosung continued, there are many uses for big data analysis. It can be used to predict who will win the presidential elections, and what kind of products customers will like. Woosung paused, then added. And also what will happen in China in the future. Mawasin flinched. Woosung continued quickly, there is a saying you need to become extra cautious when things look calm. Are you saying I'm in danger? Woosung answered, I am telling you there is a danger coming, and no one in China is ready for it. The room became silent. Zhang Guangchul and Hong Soo-bum didn't know how to react. Mawasin's colleagues also remained quiet with uncertainty. Woosung asked, can we talk in private? Woosung was a successful businessman who invested $500 million in China recently. There was no reason why Mawasin wouldn't want to hear what Woosung had to say. When Mawasin nodded, everyone left the room. During an hour of private conversation, Mawasin never shook his head once. He kept nodding to Woosung's words earnestly. On their way back to the hotel, Zhang Guangchul asked, what did you tell him? We just talked about China. What about 2010? Natural disaster. The city of Yushu will experience an earthquake that ends up causing thousands of deaths. Mawasin found it hard to believe, but he also couldn't reject the possibility completely. I told him about a few of my dreams. It was the best way for me to gain his trust. Hong Soo-bum looked at Woosung in confusion, but Woosung ignored it. Zhang Guangchul answered instead, President Kang dreams of the future ways to make money. Hong Soo-bum still didn't understand, but that was the end of the conversation. When Woosung entered his room, he flinched. He saw Yusona sitting on his bed wearing a sexy qipao outfit. He asked in shock, Sona, what are you doing here? Yusona answered coldly, didn't you ask for me to wait for you here? There was only one person Woosung knew who would plan something like this. That bastard. Her boss didn't have access to his room. It must have been Jang Guangchul. Yusona stood up and walked slowly towards Woosung. She asked, "You must be feeling better." Woosung answered nervously, "Not yet." Woosung had to stop himself from ogling her. She was a seductress. Red qipao and lipstick. Her skin looked so pale against such bright colors. She asked slowly, "Then do I need to tell you about my past ordeals again?" Her voice was so feminine. Suddenly, she touched his shoulder. "Take your coat off. I will hang it for you." Woosung's mouth felt dry. He felt himself losing his control. With the last thread of his willpower. Woosung said quickly, "I think there must have been a misunderstanding. Please leave the room now. We can talk later." He then pushed Yusona out to the door. He quickly went into the bathroom and took a cold shower. Yusona stood outside Woosung's room in shock. What just happened? The only answer was rejection. She was rejected. Yusona was one of the most popular actresses in the country with countless male fans. She couldn't believe this situation. "I feel like he is lying to me, but then, he seems serious." After shaking her head in confusion, Yusona walked towards the elevator. She stopped when she saw Li Ari, who was frowning at her. Li Ari thought distastefully. So the rumor was true. Yusona's popularity is because of her secret sponsor. She does **Zul favors for many powerful men to keep her fame. Li Ari didn't want to believe Woosung was involved in this unsavory rumor, so she came to his floor to check it. What she saw was Yusona coming out of his room. Li Ari looked at her in fury. Yusona understood what Li Ari felt toward her. She had seen similar looks from other members of her idol group. Instead of cowering, Yusona stood straight and walked confidently. Li Ari murmured quietly, "Without talent, you will end up losing everything eventually." Yusona heard it, but she walked away silently. If she reacted now, it would have been like she was confirming the rumors. She entered the elevator and her eyes met Li Ari's. Before the door closed, Yusona said the line from her famous TV drama out loud. "You were given everything, but I had to fight for every single thing I have. If you truly are a good person like everyone thinks, then couldn't you let me have this for once?" Li Ari remembered this line well. This was the line from the TV drama that made Yusona famous. Before Li Ari could respond, the door closed. The city of Yushu. Chalong, who was the owner of the fruit stall, wasn't feeling well today. "Why is this broken?" The photograph of his family placed on top of a shelf was on the floor in pieces. "Is today going to be an unlucky day?" He didn't want to go to work today, but he had no choice. "I'm off to work, honey," he said to his wife, who was busy with their 4-year-old son. "Here is your lunch box." She made his lunch from scratch every day. She was a good cook. He grabbed the fruit wagon and started walking. He quickly began sweating as he pulled it up the hill. When he finally arrived at the market and started arranging the fruits, he heard a loud noise. It was indeed an unlucky day for him. The building in front of him suddenly started collapsing to the ground. Damn it! He swore and started running towards his house. Woosung was visiting the Chinese companies he invested in. Woosung knew these companies would be successful in the future. It was nice to see so many talented people working hard. He talked to them earnestly and gave helpful pieces of advice. They looked at him in awe. DJI. VIP shop. Xiaomi. Suddenly, Woosung's smartphone rang loudly. "Hello, sir." "Yes. All right. I will get to it." "Yes." Woosung hung up and called his secretary. "Get the Red Angel team involved right away and offer our building near the city of Yushu for use. Make a donation of $10 million under the name of KND. Yes, sir. His secretary bowed and disappeared. The others asked Woosung, what happened? There has been an earthquake in Yushu City. It was in a 7.1 level. I am expecting many deaths, unfortunately, probably thousands. Everyone looked at him in shock. Hong Soo-bum asked, how do you know that? You can get environmental data from the UN and NASA. It contains a lot of information about what is happening on Earth. No one seemed to understand what he was saying. Woosung continued, I analyzed the data on past big earthquakes and was able to predict Yushu will be devastated by an earthquake. I expected it to happen sometime soon, and apparently, it was today. I told this to Mawasan yesterday so he hadn't had the chance to get prepared for it, unfortunately. So I ordered my building and supplies to be donated to help. I also ordered a large donation. We may have to cancel our opening ceremony tomorrow. Jang Guangchul was getting goosebumps. Hong Soo-bum kept starting at Woosung in surprise. Park Byung-ki still could not understand the situation. You are saying you predicted the earthquake based on the data? Before Woosung could answer, a car approached them quickly. It was a custom vehicle from the Chinese government. Please come with me. Mawasan has requested your presence. The driver opened the door for Woosung as he explained. The city of Yushu. Over 100 disaster relief agents from Korea sat around in a hotel room and chatted. This is awesome. Nothing is happening right now and we will still get paid $5,000 for this trip. He must be a very rich man. I know. We got here on a private jet and get to tour China for free. This is an awesome job. I agree. The room was filled with expensive equipment including helmets and first aid kits. Our monthly salary is $4,000 plus we get paid $5,000 for every international trip. Kang Woosung must be a super rich guy. Haven't you heard of KND? It's the company that sells the popular cell phone. I guess he wants to do good deeds with all his money. Well, good for him. Suddenly, one man's eyes widened. Wait. Did you hear that? Their radio started to blink red as the order came in. Red Angel, Red Angel. Everyone needs to get ready for Protocol 1. Red Angel, Red Angel. Everyone needs to get ready for Protocol 1. Over 100 agents in red fire suit ran out of the hotel. Woosung arrived at the government building in record time. Every car on the street recognized the government vehicle and moved aside for it to pass. Mawasan was standing outside the building waiting for Woosung. What is happening with the disaster relief team? Woosung replied, I have ordered them to get to it right away. It's happening as we speak. The emergency supplies and donations will arrive soon too. Thank you so much. The government will show you our gratitude very soon. Of course, we should help each other. As they spoke, their phones rang non-stop. The TV nearby was reporting live about the disaster site. Many men wearing red fire suits were seen helping people in need. However, no Chinese agents were seen yet. Red Angel's leader Ban Jaiwan. Ban Jaiwan first met Woosung last year on November 9 at the firefighters event. Woosung attended the ceremony created to thank firefighters and made a big donation. There, he told Ban Jaiwan of his plan for a team named Red Angel. Woosung offered a generous salary as the job involved the dangers of saving lives during natural disasters. The average salary of a firefighter was about $3,000 for 280 hours of work per month. Woosung offered the base salary of $7,000 per month plus $10,000 extra for any direct involvement in the disaster relief effort. For every life saved, he would pay $1,000. This was a very attractive offer. Ban Jaiwan accepted the job immediately. Stop fooling around and do the CPR right now. Ban Jaiwan resuscitated a woman and moved on to the next victim as he ordered his members. The interpreter followed him around and explained to the locals what was happening and what needed to be done. There is a little girl trapped here. Someone yelled desperately. Ban Jaiwan ran to the site post-haste and noted that the area was not safe with an unsupported concrete wall nearby. Ban Jaiwan shouted, "Everyone back away from the wall." Ban Jaiwan moved carefully. He believed one could never be too cautious in situations like this. He checked the area thoroughly while he yelled words of reassurance at the girl in Chinese. "I will save you very soon." Ban Jaiwan finally got to the girl and extended his hand towards her. When she grabbed him, he pulled her out. Meanwhile, everything was being recorded by news reporters. Chinese government not only ruled the land but also controlled the internet. Facebook and Twitter were not allowed in China. Only the Chinese SNS Weibo was available. On Weibo, news outlets reported the Yushu city situation everywhere. Media sources uploaded real-time photos continuously. Most of the said photos included men in red fire suits saving lives. They were running into burning buildings and other dangerous sites to help the victims of the earthquake. Who are these men? They got to the disaster location before Chinese firefighters. Aren't they the Chinese disaster relief agents? I think I recognize them. They're the Special Fireman. I am a firefighter and I have never heard of Special Fireman. That's why they are special. The important thing now is these men in red suits are saving hundreds of lives. A small news report came up online. KND forms a disaster relief team. In the news article were photos of the dangerous situation in Yushu City. However, the comments and the news article disappeared at an unprecedented speed. It was due to the efforts of the Chinese government to censor the entire affair. Woosung was reading this article with a proud smile when he exclaimed. "Huh!" The article disappeared on Weibo. Woosung turned on the TV and watched the news. The live footage was showing a surprising new headline. Chinese special firefighters on site to save lives. So far, 1,000 fatalities confirmed. Thanks to the government's quick action, many lives saved already. KND or Red Angel weren't mentioned at all. The report made it seem like the Chinese government was the hero. Manhwa, who was nearby as he watched the report with Woosung, explained. Don't think too much about it. This is how things work in China. If you want to do business here, then accept it. It sounded like a mild threat. Bastards. However, there was nothing he could do about it. After a few minutes of silence, Manhwa stood up and announced. They are here. Lu He and other government officials walked into the room. The future leader of China was Xi Jinping. However, the actual brain behind him was Lu He. He was one of the people Woosung wanted to meet. Woosung bowed deeply and introduced himself. I am Kang Woosung. Lu He smiled with a pleased look. Nice to meet you. I am Lu He. I heard you have provided a lot of help for the Yushu city. I just wish I could have done more. I wish I could have told you the exact time of the earthquake as well. I apologize. Predicting it alone was amazing. I am so honored you came here in person. Woosung said respectfully. Lu He studied Woosung as he replied. We are appreciative of all your help. Many foreign businesses were dying to get into the Chinese market. Woosung was one of them, but the difference was Lu He would remember him now because of what occurred today. I heard you used big data analysis to predict the earthquake. It's not always this accurate. I was very lucky this time. Lu He narrowed his eyes and asked, Luck, do you think you will continue to be lucky? Most likely. Then it's not luck, it's your skill. At this point, it doesn't matter. What counts is saving as many lives as possible. Then I assume you don't care who saves these lives, or who people think saved lives. Lu He looked at Woosung intently. It was a test. Woosung didn't hesitate for a second. He answered quickly, of course. Who cares as long as lives are saved? Lu He laughed loudly. Ha ha ha, for such a young person, you are very understanding. I am envious of Korea for having someone great like you. Woosung replied. Big data's uses are limitless. This is only one of the many things it can do. What else did you learn from it? Many people had asked Woosung this same question countless times before. He was starting to get tired of it. Sir, I am a businessman. Lu He frowned but remained silent. Woosung continued quickly, but for the brain behind the future General Secretary, I am willing to provide you with some information. Woosung said boldly. He just made a strong claim that Xi Jinping would become the General Secretary of China. It would happen in 2 years. Lu He stared at Woosung for a second, then asked, and is that also from the data analysis? Woosung tapped his head and answered, based on MY analysis of the data. Lu He now seemed interested. Continue. He nodded for Woosung to go on. China will grow at least 10% every year. It will become the second biggest country after America. Lu He smiled proudly, but as Woosung continued, he became rigid. But the pollution will become a serious problem soon with the new factories. Your crops will grow dangerously unhealthy. When Lu He tried to argue, Woosung continued quickly. But with Xi Jinping, I have no doubt China will swiftly recover. That is why I prepared this gift for you. The room became tense. Woosung asked. If you don't like my gift, you can return it right now. I can pull back my team immediately. As no one spoke, the only sound in the room now was the sound from the news, which continuously reported of the heroes in red suit saving Chinese lives. The total fatality so far has been confirmed to be 2,300. This is one of the worst disasters in recent Chinese history. Thanks to our government, people are being saved quickly. Already, hundreds of victims have been saved by these angels in red. They are the true heroes of our country. After Woosung left, Lu He asked, can we trust him? Based on my research, he is clean. I think you can trust his words. He wants our help to get into our market. Yes. And he formed a disaster relief team for this earthquake just to get his business into the Chinese market. It was hard to believe. It was also shocking to hear Woosung claiming Xi Jinping's future with such certainty. It was a likely situation based on how things went so far, but it's far from being a certainty. He offered to quadruple his gift if I introduce him to you, Lu He. He is a businessman, so clearly he is very wealthy. And he is also very intelligent. Why don't we go with it? We can give him what we can and use him. We need more money if we want to win against Hu Jintao. Money. They needed money. Tell him we'll do it. Mawasin bowed. The opening ceremony was cancelled, but the dinner planned by Mawasin was still on. Woosung realized that Mawasin was not so low-ranking as he first thought after all. Tencent's Ma Huatang. Aliali's Chumwin. All the CEOs of the major companies in Zhongguancun attended the event. Woosung glanced at Ma Huatang. That's the guy. He looked sly. Woosung could feel Ma Huatang checking him out as well. Obviously he hates me. Well, I did steal the game League of Ancient. There was no firm proof, but Woosung strongly suspected Zijian was a spy sent by Tencent. Mawasin took Woosung around to introduce him to everyone. This is Kang Woosung from KND. Say hello to Chungwin of Aliali. Aliali. It was the biggest electronics company in China. Nice to meet you. I am the CEO of KND, Kang Woosung. My name is Chungwin. Chungwin took out his smartphone from his pocket. Blue S2. I am using it myself. I really wanted to meet the man behind such a great product. I have heard great things about Ali as well. I am flattered, but I think it's your company that is truly great and innovative. It is no flattery, and as for my company, I have been Woosung was about to say he was lucky, but he stopped himself. He had been saying the same thing to everyone. Woosung thought perhaps it was time to change his attitude. All I did was provide adequate support for my amazing employees. Chungwin smiled and replied, then I must try harder to be more like you. After a quick chat with Chungwin, Manhwa continued to take Woosung around the room. There were so many important and successful CEOs. Some were familiar, while others were new to Woosung. During the event, Woosung realized why Manhwa was doing this. He was keeping his promise of connecting Woosung to people he needed to know in order to do business in China. Woosung could feel Manhwa's good intention. This is Manhwa, CEO of Tencent, famous for the HH Messenger. Woosung shook Manhwa's hand firmly. I am KND's CEO Kang Woosung. Woosung could feel Manhwa taking his hand firmly too. He could also feel Manhwa's rage. I am Tencent's Manhwa. Nice to meet you. I heard your messenger Coconut Talk is doing very well in Korea. I would be grateful for any helpful advice from you. Manhwa's lips were smiling, but his eyes were cold. Fake smile. I am sure you don't need anything from me. I heard your company is doing very well on its own. My company is trapped in China, but Coconut Talk has gone international. Oh, I also heard you are developing a messenger called Let Chat for China. That's right. I created a brand new China-specific company separate from KND. I wanted to make sure I follow Chinese laws and rules perfectly. Manhwa didn't mention the App Store development. It was probably because he didn't know Google would soon leave China. By the time you realize it, it will be too late. Woosung hid his smile and continued, I hope we become good competitors. Just then, Li Ari stepped up to the stage with a microphone. Many of the men in the room were in their 30s. When they saw Li Ari, their eyes glowed. Hello. I am Li Ari. I thought I should start with a quiet song considering the recent event. Li Ari continued in a professional. She also spoke in fluent Chinese. As the music began, she started singing, Quiet Night. It was her most popular song. I can't believe I am hearing this live. Woosung felt proud. He became so successful that he was at an event where a famous singer sang live. Li Ari sang like a goddess. When she finished and bowed lightly, she received a standing ovation. Manhwa also couldn't take his eyes off her. She was wearing a fragile white dress and blood-red lipstick. She looked exquisite. She was usually paid tens of thousands of dollars for an event and Woosung could understand why. He looked around and the men were gawking at her. They must all be Li Ari's fan, including Manhwa. It was no wonder. Li Ari was nicknamed the goddess in China. As Li Ari started stepping down from the stage, Manhwa raised his hand. Encore. Li Ari smiled as brightly as she could and replied. I'm sorry, but we are out of time, unfortunately. Perhaps next time. Manhwa looked at her with a disappointed gaze. When Li Ari sat beside Woosung, Manhwa's eyes widened. Woosung said to Li Ari, good job. I love your voice. I can hear your voice has matured since the last time you released your record. Li Ari answered coldly, I'm surprised you had the time to listen to my songs and compare. I thought you were too busy. Woosung couldn't understand her meaning. When he tried to ask her, the lights in the room dimmed and Yusona started singing on the stage. She sang a Chinese song titled Sweet. Her accent was near perfect. Woosung could tell how hard she practiced for this day. Yusona also danced lightly. She was again wearing a revealing qipao, which made the audience wild. One of the businessmen stood and climbed up the stage. The bodyguards tried to push him out, but he was persistent. Manhwa frowned angrily. Yusona left the stage earlier than planned because of this incident. She asked Woosung, did people not like my singing? Woosung glanced at the audience. The problem clearly was that they liked her too much. Instead of answering, Woosung offered. The steak tastes great. Why don't you try it? Yusona frowned at Woosung's attempt to avoid answering her question. Li Ari smirked secretly. Yusona ate a piece of steak anyway. Woosung asked her, how is it? It's okay. Of course it's great. It was made with the best meat by the best chef in China. Yusona nodded. Li Ari also ate a piece of steak. Woosung explained. I think you two are like great chefs. You use singing and acting as your ingredients and cook it to cater to the audience. Woosung looked at both of them and asked, what do you think makes a good chef? Li Ari answered first, graduating from a great culinary school. Yusona's answer was different. Trying your best to achieve your goal. Both answers are correct. There are many different ways to become the top chef. However, my answer is a little bit different. Both women concentrated on Woosung as he continued. The answer is meeting the customer with the best taste. Only then could a chef hear an honest and accurate review of his or her food. Li Ari asked, so what are you trying to say? I am that customer with the best taste. I can also provide you with the best ingredients. What do you think? They both suddenly realized what Woosung was saying. He was trying to scout them. Yusona nodded without hesitation. Will you take care of my debt to my current agency, and also any future legal disputes? Of course. I believe in your potential, Sona. I will take care of everything. Yusona smiled in relief, while Li Ari looked uncomfortable. Li Ari said to Woosung awkwardly, this is so sudden. I assume you are saying KND will be getting into the entertainment industry. I will be building a comprehensive agency, which will include music and making movies and TV shows. Have you heard of Netflix? Both women shook their heads. It was not available in Korea yet, but it was a fast-growing business worldwide. Woosung explained, it is a company that shows videos online. I will be adding the management department on top of that. Li Ari asked, so it's like YouTube. YouTube offers free videos uploaded by the users. What I will do is provide videos for a fee. Unlike YouTube, which relies on ads for profit, my company will have paying users. Woosung answered sincerely. He was a big fan of Li Ari, and he really wanted her to join his agency. Sona, do you have any other conditions you would like to add? Yusona hesitated, but Woosung understood immediately. He answered quickly, don't worry about that. You will never have to do anything you don't want to. Yusona bit her lips. Her eyes welled up. She tried her best not to cry. Clap. Suddenly, Woosung clapped his hands and winked at Yusona understandingly. He then asked Li Ari, Ari, what do you think? Yusona got her emotion under control. Li Ari could guess what Woosung and Yusona were talking about. She answered, I may not know much about business, but I know you need to make thoughtful decisions and have total focus. Don't you think getting into so many different industries will be your downfall someday? Some people think that, but I don't believe that. Woosung grinned and continued. I can do anything. Yusona suddenly felt subtle darkness radiating from within Woosung. She shivered and looked at him. She wondered if she could really trust Woosung. Mawasan approached their table and asked, what are you guys talking about so seriously? He spoke in Chinese. Woosung answered in the same language, we were talking about my company. Both women's eyes shined at Woosung's flawless Chinese. Your secret to success must be to never stop working, Woosung. I am trying to give up that habit, but it's very hard. Two women looked at Woosung with interest. Women love successful men. Mawasan said to Woosung, but you should always think of your health too. Your work is only beginning in China. Thank you for your concern. I won't let you down. I think this is the end of this evening. I will contact you later with more details. Call me anytime. I will wait for you. When Woosung returned to his hotel, he called for Jang Guangchul. After Woosung's explanation, Jang Guangchul said to him weakly, "Sure, why not?" Jang Guangchul knew by now Woosung would do whatever he wanted without his approval anyway. Besides, everything Woosung had tried so far had been a huge success. "I want the headquarters to be in Chungmuro, so please purchase an appropriate building. Will you start this company with your own personal money again? Do you want to invest? Once it gets listed in the stock market, I guarantee your profit will be over 100%. Jang Guangchul said to the confident Woosung, "So you will start making smaller movies and TV shows, then get into the management business. Eventually, you want it to become something like a mixture of Netflix, Fox, and HBO. Yup. Have you heard of something called a comprehensive channel? With Lee Sung-hyun, I should be able to get a TV channel for this company." Jang Guangchul closed his eyes and asked, "And you are probably thinking of taking this company to the international market too?" "Of course. Oh, and I forgot to mention that we need to purchase Spotify. The free music streaming service." "Yes. The current Korean streaming service Grapefruit will never survive the world market, but bringing Spotify into Korea would be easy, just like Facebook and Google. So your company will be truly comprehensive. Yu Sona already accepted my offer. I have a good feeling Lee Ari will also be convinced too. Then why not just take over Lee Ari's management company, Top Entertainment? You can keep the current chairman Moon Young-jun as the CEO. Woosung thought carefully. Is he someone who could be trusted? I will look into it. Jang Guangchul stood up to leave, but Woosung grabbed him. One more thing. Gosh, stop creating more work for me. I'm dying here. Sir, I am doing this to make it easier for you. Fine. Tell me. I think we need to make a separate information department. Like the Daejeon Economics Lab? Woosung nodded. We need a reliable internal department that can gather various information and analyze them. Like looking into Moon Young-jun. Why don't you ask for Lee Sung-hyun for help? He must know a lot of NIS agents. What if those agents give Lee Sung-hyun information about us? Jang Guangchul coughed. You're right. We need people we can trust. Don't you know some reliable people? Fine. I will look into it. Woosung stood up and gave Jang Guangchul a big hug. Jang Guangchul stammered in surprise. What are you doing? Do you remember that day when we decided to create our own company? Jang Guangchul remembered. He trembled as Woosung explained, I know very well how hard you have worked for me, but look at where we are. We are doing business in China. Did you ever think we would come this far? Jang Guangchul couldn't answer. Woosung continued, it has been less than a year and we have come so far. Blue S is selling like hotcakes and coconut talk is being used worldwide. Soon, China will be ours too. Woosung stepped back slowly and added, it won't take very long. Just a little bit longer, and our empire will be complete. We will become so big companies like Daejeon will cower before us. Jang Guangchul replied quietly but firmly, is that the future you saw in your dream? So far. Fine. I get it. I will do my best. Thank you. I know I can count on you. And, Jang Guangchul paused before continuing. Thank you. Pardon. I admit we came a lot further than I could ever imagine. Woosung added, and we will go much further. Jang Guangchul nodded. He believed it. He was sure of it. Incheon International Airport. Many reporters were waiting in anticipation. Are you sure he is coming back today? For sure. Why would they lie to me? Then what is taking him so long? Just be patient. The earthquake in Yushu didn't interest the Korean public much, but the efforts of the Red Angel team did. Once it became known that it was a team created by a Korean company KND, people became fascinated. The media was all over it, and that was why so many reporters were waiting at the airport. Maybe he already left through the VIP exit. Then suddenly, someone yelled. "Oh, there he is." Ban Jaiwan was the first to come out. He was a big muscled man. The reporters crowded him and asked. "Is it true that your team was waiting on site in advance? How did he know there was going to be an earthquake? Is it true your team was waiting in a hotel room? Does KND have an earthquake detector?" The biggest question was this. How did he know he needed to wait in the city of Yushu? Ban Jaiwan gave the answer prepared for him by Woosung. "I just followed my CEO's order." "Are you referring to Kang Woosung?" "Yes." "Then it's true that Kang Woosung sent your team to Yushu City 3 days before the earthquake? Because he knew it would happen?" "I guess so." At Ban Jaiwan's vague answer, the reporters became frustrated. "This is very important. Please answer the question." They were being pushy. Ban Jaiwan became angry. Even when he was a firefighter, reporters treated him like this. They were rude and aggressive. Ban Jaiwan raised his voice. "The important thing is." The reporters quieted down. "That there were so many people we couldn't save. There are people still buried under buildings somewhere unknown to us. Lives matter the most, but it seems like you people don't care. I have no more to say." He then walked away. KND's bodyguards made a way for him and Ban Jaiwan quickly disappeared. Lee Sung-hyun turned off the TV. Oh Hoon, the current mayor of Seoul who was in the middle of re-election, asked, "Is this your friend's work?" Lee Sung-hyun nodded. He said, "I am in the lead by a little. His analysis ability is uncanny. When will I be able to meet him? He is actually on his way here right now." Oh Hoon. Woosung remembered seeing him on TV in his previous life.